Yo, peace. Was good, peeps? Happy belated New Year's. I hope all is well for everybody. I hope everybody had a wonderful and safe New Year's. I want to do something different today than my usual steez. I want to give you guys my experience of living in Florida and the pros and cons of living in Florida, alright? So, just to give you a little background about me, pretty much, I was born and raised in New York, born in Brooklyn, born Queensbred, lived there till 2002, and then it's crazy because I remember a couple years before I moved to Florida, particularly 1999 when I was in 7th grade, my mom was just saying like how, oh, we're gonna move to Florida, but I kind of brushed it off, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. And fast forward to 2002 when I was in 9th grade, I went to Thomas Edison High School in Jamaica, Queens, and right after when I finished my 9th grade year there, then shit got real. You know what I mean? And that's when I realized, damn, I'm actually moving to Florida. And it's crazy because usually I go to Costa Rica. When I used to live in New York, I used to go to Costa Rica in the summertime because that's where my mom is from originally. And I went to Costa Rica that same year in 2002, July of 2002. And usually when I leave Costa Rica, I usually go back to New York, but that wasn't the case. I went straight to Miami, Florida. So that's when I saw that. I was like, yeah, shit is real. And I saw the car and they see the New York license plate. I was like, damn, we actually moved to Florida. Holy fucking shit. And so, when I first started living in Florida, it was very rough for me. It was very, as you can tell, like me being from New York City, it was a culture shock piece. Everything was so slow. It was very laid back. It was very different. It was very boring for me, But then I started meeting people from the tri-state area and all parts of the country that were pretty much in the same similar situations as me. Them just getting out of their comfort zone, coming to Florida, moving to Florida, and they just trying to make the best of what they have, and then that actually made me feel better. And to this day, I'm still friends with some of those people that I met before. Some, kind of moved on. Some of them are, but in most part, I'm in good graces with most of the people that I met back in the day. And then 15 and a half years later, I'm still here in Florida. So, I'll give you guys, the my thoughts of here in Florida and things like that. I'll give you guys kind of like my synopsis about Florida, alright? I did something where it's like pros and cons of living in Florida, and the video will be a little bit long, but just bear with me. I think it should be some stuff that I'm pretty sure some of you guys, all my transplants, could relate to and things like that, alright? We're gonna start with the pros. I made 10 pros, and give you guys that right now. The first pro is great beaches. Beautiful beaches here in Florida. If you're a beach person, Florida is the place to be. And what's cool about the beaches here, they're not too far from you. Like particularly where I live, the beach is about 20 to 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes away from my house. So it's not too far. So if I want to go to the beach, I'll just go to the beach and drive to the beach and stuff like that. I'm not crazy about the beach. I'll go there, but it's not something that I could just go. I want to go to the beach and shit like that. Nah, I don't roll that way. Even when I lived in New York, I was never big on the beach, but I'll go. Just to have a nice swimming here and there. But I'm not gonna go crazy to go to the beach. Plus, sharks and all that shit, and jellyfish, and yeah, I'm just very paranoid about shit like that. But yeah, great beaches, very clean compared to New York. If you guys, know about Coney Island Beach and dirty ass beach and shit like that, what I'm saying, all the garbage and all that stuff. So yeah, but yeah, great beaches here in Florida. The second pro is outdoor life. So much to do outdoors. If you guys like fishing, hunting, like to do sports, you like to go camping, things like that. Florida is a great place for you guys to do fishing, things like that. If you like the animal life, wildlife, if you're into like animals and wildlife and stuff like that, Florida definitely have like nice reservations like out here in Florida all over. You got the Everglades down south. For me, it was about like maybe like 45 to an hour away from where I live. Things like that. So things like that is very cool. It's crazy because when I first moved in this particular town where I'm at right now, I remember seeing foxes in the neighborhood. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, a fox? Like, that's crazy. It's like my first time seeing a fox in person. I mean, obviously you've seen them on TV and cartoons, but to actually see one in Florida is kind of crazy. And what I didn't know, but coyotes actually common here in Florida. So I didn't know. I thought coyotes were like more like in the West Coast, like Arizona and like those places, Colorado, places like that. But they're actually common here in Florida. So just keep that in mind. Crazy thing too. The house across the street from me, one of my neighbors, behind their house lies a preserve, and they have a whole bunch of animals over there. It's not for the public to be into. It's like only government. Well, they recommend people not to go in there. They have like signs like no outside people going, some shit like that. I don't remember what it says, but the public is not allowed to be in the preserve. Only if you work in the wildlife. If you're like a government official or anything like that, or anything that you have to do with wildlife, those are the only people that are allowed there, because there's a whole bunch of type of animals in there. You don't know what's in there, so I thought so I think that's pretty cool. Kind of keep that preserved, because the thing with here in Florida, there's a lot of construction, especially South Florida. There's a lot of deforestation going on here, like a lot of, like. Where I live now used to be all woods, but then they tore down all the trees and they made it into houses. So it was kind of sad, but I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, that's pretty much on the outdoor life. 3 is restaurants. Lots of restaurants to choose from. Because you gotta remember, here in Florida, there's a lot of tourism, so a lot of tourists like to eat out. Including myself, I like to eat out. I like to go out to different restaurants, try different restaurants. I guess you could call me a foodie. I like to experiment. I'm very adventurous when it comes to food. So, yeah, man, there's a lot of restaurants you guys can choose from. Here in South Florida, there's a lot of, Spanish food, Jamaica, West Indian food. You name it, they have it. I would like to try African restaurant, but I've yet to find one. I never had African food, but I know but I think in Miami, I'm pretty sure they have one. But they have Russian restaurants down south and things like that. Anything you want, they have. You know what I'm saying? Even Indian restaurants, but a lot of buffets, things like that. They have all that stuff. So that's one thing about Florida I can't knock, is that they have a lot of restaurants you can choose from, and a lot of mom and pop stores. Restaurants that I like, so I definitely fucks with that. 4, great nightlife, dope clubs, dope lounges, bars. Florida is really known for bars. There's a lot of bars here in Florida. If you like to, you like lounges and bars, Florida is a place to be. As far as the club scene, there is a club scene, but it's more towards down south, meaning Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. That's where the real party scene is at. And it's funny because here in West Palm Beach, like, we do have a club scene, but it's not as good as Miami, because at one point we did have a good club scene, but then it just got old real quick. And, that's why a lot of people tend to drive down south. They'll go to Fort Lauderdale, they'll go to like Boca Raton, or they'll even go to like Miami. Like, I used to do that, but I stopped doing that because I'm not really big into clubs. But this is before, like, when I was younger, to go clubbing quite a bit. So that's pretty much it on that. The only thing though is, like, in certain parts of Florida, like Central Florida, Central Florida, like Northern Florida, the West Coast, a lot of those bars and clubs, they close very early. That's the only bad thing about that. They tend to close like around 2 o'clock in the morning, which I'm like, like what the fuck. Either they close the bar at 2, or they just close the establishment at 2 o'clock, which I'm not really too fond of. I'm not too crazy about that, but it is what it is. But if you come to South Florida, they close later. 3, 4 in the morning, 5 o'clock. So which I like because like I'm a nocturnal person, so I like to be out late and shit like that. So that's pretty much it on the nightlife. A lot of theme parks, lots of theme parks. Especially if you go like to Central Florida, like Orlando. If you go to Tampa. A lot of theme parks out there, even down here, but not more than Orlando, because Orlando's like tourist / college town, and that's what it's known for. A lot of water parks and things like that. Orlando's the place to be. A lot of theme parks. So if you have kids, Orlando's the place to be as far as like theme parks and stuff like that. They can be a little expensive, but the great thing about if you're a Florida resident, you do get discounts for the theme parks. That's one good thing about that. Some people probably know, probably didn't know. If you're a Florida resident, you get discounts, for living here and stuff like that. You get like, passes and things like that. So I think that's pretty cool. Out of state, not so much. You have to pay a little bit more, but but the theme parks are here are dope. Busch Gardens down in Tampa. Never been there. Then you got Disney, which I've been there a couple times. Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, places like that, Wet n Wild, and a whole bunch of other places. A lot of cool theme parks over there. 6, car scenes, a great car scene out here. If you're a car enthusiast, Florida is the place for me to change. Alright. Sorry about that. If you're a car enthusiast, Florida's the place to be. They got car meets for every type of car you could think of. If you have a Infiniti, Nissan, Honda, Acura, anything you could think of, they have a car meet for it. You know what I mean? Usually a lot of those times, a lot of those car meets tend to be the more lesser known, it's kind of like word of mouth kind of thing, but there are car meets like anywhere, any type of car they have a car meet for. You know what I'm saying? Even though they go to the domestic cars, for all my peoples that like SRTs, like Chargers, Dodges, cars like that, they have car meets for that. Even up to the classic cars, like the old muscle cars from the 60s and 70s, they have car meets for that and stuff like that. Car shows, they have stuff like that. Car tracks that you can go to. Very, very, very dope. Nothing too with the cars. Cars here are relatively cheap, and you don't have to worry about salt or rust here in Florida. You don't really need to do that. And there's really no need, if you have an all-wheel drive car, there's really no need here, because in Florida it doesn't really snow, unless you live like, northern Florida, like Tallahassee and, places like that. But, you don't really need an all-wheel drive car. Most of the cars here either rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive, so there's really no need for all-wheel drive. If anything, you're wasting your money here for having an all-wheel drive. But it does have advantages, like if you're into like, if you're into, I guess it's all-wheel drives are good for like, I guess like for traction and stuff like that, but all-wheel drives tend to be more heavy and, more expensive to repair because, this car's a lot more heavy and stuff like that. So, and another good thing about the car scene over here, or cars in general, is that there's no emission laws. You don't have to worry about emission laws, like cars being inspected and stuff like that. Unlike you go to New York, they have car inspections and things like that, like every year or so. You don't have to worry about that here. So you can pretty much get away with a lot of things with your car. Like you have, a nice muffler, like a customized muffler, or you lower your car a certain way, tinted windows and stuff like that. You don't really have to worry about that here. Even though Florida is a little bit strict on the tints, but they're kind of lax about it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't really see too many people getting pulled over for tints. I know, like in back home in New York, they're very strict on that. Um, but yeah, you know, you don't really have to worry because I've seen a lot of people with SUVs and they're older people that have dark tinted windows, so or pickup trucks, and nobody really fucks with them. So just thought I'd throw that out there. So that's pretty much it on the car scene. 7, no state tax. You don't have to worry about state tax. The only thing you worry about is the federal tax. I believe the sales tax here in Florida is 6%. I know other places like New York is like 8%. I know I keep saying New York because that's where I'm from, so that's what that I could really relate to. But yeah, no state tax. You don't have to worry about that. 8, a lot of festivals. There's festivals, a lot of events that people will go to. You can never be bored here in Florida. I mean, it's impossible not to be bored. But if you have kids or anything like that, you want to take them to something to do. There's a festival. There's music festivals. There's food festivals. There's car festivals. Any type of festival they have here in Florida. Usually every weekend and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. I mean, that's something to think about. There's a lot of events that happens here in Florida, and that's one thing I do like. So there's no reason for you to be bored on that. So I really like that. 9, garage sales / thrift stores. A lot of garage sales here in Florida. If you're like me, I'm the type of person I like to go thrifting. Garage sales I haven't done in a while. I haven't gone to one in a while. But they do have them. They frequent them a lot, especially around here. Not in this neighborhood, but in the vicinity that I live in. I know there's always a garage sale every weekend, and everywhere you go in Florida, there's a lot of garage sales. So I think that's something to keep in mind. A lot of thrift stores. They have a lot of thrift stores. I know thrift stores over the past 5 years been very trendy to do, because people like vintage clothing, especially with the younger crowd, including myself, like vintage clothing. And there's been a big explosion of thrift stores. So, and then thrift stores originally were for like older people, like senior citizens, to do their shopping because it's cheap. It's trying to economize, trying to save money. Thrift stores are the way to do it. There are some thrift stores that are a little pricey. They tend to be more on the consignment type of pricing, if that makes sense, because consignment stores are a little bit different, because consignment stores tend to be more they're used stuff. Some of them are used, some of them are not, but they're more well maintained, and they have like higher quality items, compared to thrift stores. Thrift stores be, whatever you get it as it is. If it's broken, it has a tear, that's what you get. Consignments, they kind of sift through what's good and what's bad and to their standards, and then they put it out. So consignment stores, you're gonna pay a little bit more, but case in point, there's a lot of those kind of stores here in Florida. So, and flea markets too. A lot of flea markets here in Florida, indoors and outdoors. So, just thought I'd throw that out there. Last but not least, on the pros, great real estate. You can get houses for really cheap. Sorry about that. You can get houses for dirt cheap over here. Especially like in like northern Florida, central Florida, and west coast of Florida. Depends on what part of those part of the cities in Florida that you decide to move to, but you're gonna get more bang for your buck and stuff like that. And like I said before, with the deforestation here in Florida, a lot of developments are constantly building new houses. So beautiful houses, it's not like New York where like a lot of the houses are old from the 40s and 50s and from the 30s and stuff like that. The houses are very spacious and stuff like that. It's really cool to have for kids, big backyards, You know, it's a lot of great things about Florida that I like about with real estate. You know, for example, this house, my mom got the house for $325K. That was 2002. Obviously, we're still paying it off. And, you know, we got 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and a garage. Nice backyard. We have a man-made lake behind our house. So that's beautiful. For $325,000, you can't beat that. Something like that in New York, you're paying at least a mil, maybe more. Especially with the lake in the back. Sorry about that. Especially with the lake in the backyard, you're paying at least a mil. So, you know, that's something to keep in mind. Let me see how much time I have left. Alright, I'm going to kind of go through these kind of quick because I'm running out of time. Now, we're going to go through the cons. The cons. Too damn hot. And it has bipolar weather. Oh my god. It would be hot one day, and then it'll rain for like 10 minutes, and it'll be hot. Like, Florida doesn't know when it to be hot, when to be cool. You know what I mean? And like, the winters here, I like some of the winters, but it doesn't get too cold enough for me. Although in the last couple of weeks, it's been kind of cold here, which I love. Like, you know, I love wearing sweaters and hoodies and stuff like that. It's been like in the 40s and 50s, which I like. And, you know, people here in Florida, you know, crying about, oh, it's cold, but only if they knew what cold was. But, yeah, bipolar weather, man. And it's like, it's too damn hot, too damn humid. You know, it's like, you can't even wear nice clothes, and then you'll be sweating a lot. It's very humid out here. It's just crazy. You know, I know certain places, like, you go underneath for shade, you're good. Florida's not the case. Anywhere you're at, it's still hot. And hurricanes. That's one thing you gotta deal with, too, if you live in Florida, is hurricanes. That's just the nature of the game, man. That's something that you can't really avoid. You know what I mean? Especially with global warming happening right now. Just not possible. You know, it's just something you gotta deal with. You know, it's just unfortunate. Just, you know, putting up shutters and things like that, just pain in the ass. You know, especially living in a 2-story house, just not fun at all. 2, insects. Too many fucking bugs, man. Too many damn bugs. It's just ridiculous, man. Like, I hate insects. Any type of insects, I fucking hate. I don't do well with cockroaches. I hate them shits. And it's funny because these past couple of years, you know, I've been seeing cockroaches in the house. I'm like, what the fuck? And we keep the house clean. But it just so happens that they call them palmetto bugs, but I still call them cockroaches. What happens is the trees. They like the trees. And, you know, they come into the house, and that's the thing. That's something you can't really avoid. You know, it's like, it's one of those things that, you know, it's not much you can really do. You just gotta try to keep your house clean, which I try to do. You know, I try to keep the house clean. And, you know, things like that. Mosquitoes, you know, things like that. Pain in the ass, too. Sugar ants, you gotta worry about sugar ants. It's just like one of those things, man. It's just a pain in the ass, like, because I could be having, like, you know, soda or juice on my table, and God forbid, like, I spill like a little drop or even food, anything like that. Then you have ants coming out of nowhere, like little small ants coming out of nowhere. Like, where the hell y'all came from? I didn't see y'all come. Like, they just popped out of nowhere. It's like they just poof, magician, they're just all over your food and drink and whatever. It's crazy. It's just insects. Ugh, I hate them. The water here sucks. The water here tastes nasty. I don't really drink the tap water here. I mean, I love the tap water in New York, you know, because the water is coming from Canada, you know, dams and from the mountains. The thing is, the water here comes from, at least here in South Florida, it comes from Lake Okeechobee, and that lake is dirty as fuck. You know, it's not the best in the world. I mean, they improved as far as like the taste of the water, but I remember when I first came here, and the water smelled nasty. It had like that sulfur smell to it. It was just so disgusting. I really did not like it at all. I have a lot more that I want to talk about. I'm gonna cut it short. So this is gonna be like part 1 of my experiences living here in Florida. So stay tuned for part 2. Peace.